In the year at 6, as Emperor Augustus prepared to celebrate Rome's eternal peace, a message arrived that froze the blood in his veins. The Balkans were in flames. Not a border skirmish, not a raid, an entire province had risen. 200,000 warriors stood against Rome, and they knew Rome's tactics better than Rome itself. Augustus turned to his council and whispered words history would never forget. "Avaris, give me back my legions." But this disaster came before Teutoburg, and it nearly destroyed the empire. The province of Illyricum, stretching across the rugged Balkans, was Rome's silent backbone. Its people supplied the empire with fierce infantry, loyal auxiliaries, and taxes paid in blood. For decades, Rome demanded more men, more grain, more obedience. Protection slowly became oppression. Roman governors ruled with whips instead of laws. Young men were dragged from their villages to fight Rome's endless wars. Entire tribes were treated as expendable tools, and Rome made one fatal mistake. In Ad 6, Augustus ordered a massive conscription. Illyrian warriors were to be sent north to fight in Germania. For the tribes, this was the breaking point. The mountains listened, the forests remembered, and the people decided they would die free or not at all. At the heart of the storm stood two men named Bato. Bato of the Daesitiates, a hardened mountain warrior, disciplined, ruthless, and patient. He had learned Roman tactics by fighting beside Roman legions. And Bato of the Bruci, a brilliant organizer, charismatic and strategic, who understood Rome's supply lines better than Rome's governors. These were not reckless rebels. They planned, they coordinated, they waited. Then, on a single night, the revolt exploded. Roman patrols vanished along mountain roads. Camps were attacked before dawn. Signal fires lit the hills as villages rose together. An uprising synchronized across hundreds of miles. Legionaries woke to arrows raining from the dark. Commanders sent messengers. Messengers never returned. The rebels did not fight Rome head-on. They cut throats, burned granaries, poisoned wells, and disappeared into terrain no legion formation could tame. Within weeks, entire Roman garrisons collapsed. Governors panicked. Rome had expected obedience. Instead, it faced a war for survival. Reports reached Augustus that over 200,000 Illyrians were under arms. For the first time since Hannibal, a terrifying thought entered the Senate's mind. If Illyricum falls, Italy lies open. Augustus summoned his most trusted general, Tiberius, the empire's finest strategist, and his chosen heir. But even Tiberius hesitated. These rebels were not untrained savages. They were Rome's reflection, disciplined, patient, and merciless. As legions marched east, the mountains swallowed them. And deep in the forests, Bato of the Daesitiates watched, knowing Rome had finally understood the truth. This would not be a rebellion. This would be a war Rome might not survive. As Roman legions advanced into Illyria, fires burned behind them. Supply lines vanished and an unseen enemy closed in. And Tiberius realized was walking into a trap built by men who knew how legions died. The legions entered Illyria in perfect order, shields locked, standards high, discipline unbroken. Tiberius watched from horseback, his face unreadable. He had fought Germans, Parthians, and Gauls. But here, the land itself felt hostile. Keep the columns tight, he ordered. No heroics, no pursuit. The warning came too late. From the tree line, javelins screamed through the air. A century vanished in moments. The Illyrians did not charge. Instead, then melted back into the forest. Roman trumpets blared, but there was no enemy to form against. Night became worse. Campfires flickered as shadows crept close. Wolves howled. Then the arrows came, flaming, silent, relentless. Tents burned. Horses screamed. A centurion collapsed beside the eagle standard, whispering, "They know us. They know everything." High in the hills, Bato of the Daesitiates observed the case. "Let them march," he said to his captains. Every step forward cost them blood. Meanwhile, Bato of the Bruci struck Rome where it hurt most. Logistics. Green convoys were ambushed. Bridges collapsed. Entire valleys were stripped bare. Starvation became Rome's shadow. Inside Roman command tents, tension boiled. They avoid battle, a tribune snapped. "The cowards," Tiberius silenced him with a glance. "No," he replied calmly. In Rome, Augustus received daily reports, each worse than the last. Senators whispered of disaster. Emergency levies were raised. 9 legions were now trapped in a grinding war that refused to end. Then came betrayal. Roman gold reached the Bruci chiefs. Promises of mercy followed. One night, swords flashed in the rebel camp. Bato of the Bruci defected, offering Rome information in exchange for survival. When the news reached the mountains, Bato of the Daesitiates laughed bitterly. Rome always wins with silver, he said. Let them think the war is over. As winter closed in, Tiberius prepared a massive advance, believing the rebellion broken. But in the frozen forests, fires still burned, and Bato was not finished. Winter crushed the mountains under snow and silence. Roman legions advanced slowly, not in triumph, but in caution. Tiberius had learned the lance lesson. Speed invited death. Now he strangled Illyria piece by piece. Villages were encircled. Passes were sealed. Forest paths once alive with ambush fell quiet. Hunger replaced heroism. High on a ridge, Bato of the Daesitiates watched his world collapse. His warriors were gaunt, their blades dull, their families starving. Still, they refused surrender. Rome cannot conquer our spirit, the young fighter said. Bato closed his eyes. Rome conquers time, he replied. And time has turned against us. The final stand came near in Hadrian. Snow fell as Roman shields locked into walls of iron. The Illyrians charged one last time. Howling, desperate, fearless, arrows struck bronze. Blood-stained white ground. For a moment, the legions bent. Then discipline crushed fury. When the fighting ended, the valley was silent except for the wind. Wounded and surrounded, Bato surrendered. He was brought before Tiberius, unchained but unbowed. The Roman general studied him, not as a barbarian, but as an equal. "But why did your people rise?" Tiberius asked. Bato's voice was steady. "Because you sent wolves to guard your flock." Tiberius said nothing. He understood. The war ended in 889 after 3 years of exhaustion. Illyria was devastated. Entire tribes were relocated. Tens of thousands were enslaved. Rome declared victory quietly. Augustus ordered reforms. Governors were restrained. Recruitment policies changed. Rome learned painfully that provinces could burn from within, yet the damage ran deeper. The Illyrian Revolt had bled Rome dry, tying down legions desperately needed elsewhere. Months later, news arrived from Germania. 3 legions destroyed in Teutoburg Forest. The empire had no reserves left. Augustus aged overnight. He walked the palace at night, whispering names of lost legions, haunted by wars that peace had promised to end. Rome survived Illyria. But survival is not victory. The revolt proved that Rome's greatest threat was not distant enemies. It was the people who knew Rome too well. The mountains fell silent. The legions marched on. But the empire would never again believe in peace so easily, because the deadliest wars are the ones history almost forgets.